Hey guys, and welcome to Faith Works Designs. I'm Faith, and today I'm so excited to show you guys the gamer round for K&A Custom Fabrics. There is going to be so much in this round because Alex just could not stop. So I have quite a few sew-alongs in this round, and they all kind of have variations. So let's talk about this one, the Tamagotchi. I made both of them into book bags. Alex and I were talking about how it'd be really cute to make it into like a fanny pack. We included pieces in there so that you could make it a fanny pack, you could make it a backpack, you can make it a crossbody, you can just do whatever you want with it. You're just going to kind of have to figure that out on your own. Don't let our sew-alongs be something you think you have to make it that certain way. You can make it any kind of way you want. You just have to figure out how to do it. Alright, so let's talk about it. So up front you have this little zipper pocket. Inside you have your little Tamagotchi switchable screen. We wanted to have that little screen so that we could take them in, take them out, change them up. Let me show you guys. So in the panel you have your little dead guy, poor guy. You have another little guy, I think that's Poop. I'm not entirely sure, but I think that one's pooping. And then this one's just kind of chilling out, and you've got all your little buttons on the top and on the bottom. I think Alex had way too much fun with this round. Anyway, you're going to get all of this in your pack, and then that way you can kind of make all of the screens. You can actually fit all of the screens in that front zipper, so you can just take them out as you need to, and then you can just change them out. So if you're feeling a little deathly, change it out. Alright, so you've got your screen, and you put that in the front, and then we kind of try to keep the inside basic because you're going to be spending a lot of time on this portion of the bag plus all of your little slip-in things. So the bag is your basic. There are no pockets or anything like that. It is binding. If you guys wanted to do slip pockets or a zipper pocket or anything like that, you can always get a coordinating fabric to go along with this and then just add whatever it is you guys want to add. Don't let our limitations limit you. We can only get so much on a panel. There's also more than one version. We just wanted to have like some options for not just having one color. So that is why we have two. Now, let's get started. Alright, we have got our Tamagotchi panel. It's going to come all rolled up. It is also going to come with all of the pieces that you need for the outer and the lining. Don't cut your lining until you cut out your outer first. I'm going to go ahead and cut all of my outer out so that I can give you guys all the dimensions for everything, and then we'll get started. But I wanted to show you guys, we gave you the triangle pieces and we gave you the rectangle pieces so that if you guys wanted to make it a purse, a book bag, a fanny pack, you know, anything your little heart desires, you at least have some options. So just look at that when you open up your panel and figure out what it is you want it to be. You're going to have a small piece of vinyl that comes with your set. I don't know if you know this or not, but you can iron vinyl. If you put a pressing cloth over top of it, and it needs to be a decent weight, you can iron it. My hands are all hot and sweaty this morning. You can put a little bit of heat on it. Don't let it sit on too long. I was finding that when I got it, it was all rolled up and it was nice and tight, and it just didn't want to lay flat. And I need this to lay flat, so I just kind of pressed it just a little bit. Just a little bit of heat will do. Alright, so this is your interchangeable Tamagotchi face. If you've never made an Ida bag before, this is kind of what we're going to do with it, so that you guys can have these different faces that you can put in your bag. I'll show you how to make this later on in the video. Alright, so then you've got your lining. It's got all the pieces that you're going to need. We're going to use our outer as our template to cut our lining. Don't just go cutting everything out. Our lining tends to be a different size than our outer. Don't know how it happens or why, but it does. So we always use our outer as our template for our lining. So let me go cut this out. Oh, I am also working with a pebble vinyl. So I'm going to be interfacing all of my pieces 1/4 of an inch shorter all the way around. And I'm using waterproof canvas for my lining, so I don't need to interface that or do anything to it. Love it. Alright, let me go cut these out, and then I'll give you guys all the dimensions and everything like that. Alright, so I wanted to show you real quick. I've cut out all of my main pieces. I'm going to go over all of the measurements in a second, but I wanted to show you that's why you take your outer pieces and use them as a template for your lining. They're just not the exact same size. Now you're going to have templates for all of your pieces except for this one right here, so you're just going to have to cut it out as it is, and then we'll cut it down when it gets to be the point where we actually use it. Alright, pieces. Our bottom gusset is 3 inches wide by 16.5 inches long. Our zipper gusset is 1.5 inches wide by 13 inches long. Our triangle pieces are 2.5 inches tall by 3 inches wide. Our top piece is going to be 3 inches tall by 7.5 inches wide. Our D-ring pieces are going to be 2 inches wide by 3 inches long. Our front bottom half is going to be 7 tall by 8 wide. Our back piece is going to be 8 inches wide by 10 inches tall. Alright, let's talk hardware / webbing and zipper tape. So you're going to need 3 zippers. I'm using number 5 zipper tape for all of this. Speaking of zipper tape, this is the zipper tape that K&A has for this. We're going to need the 13 inches like we needed for the zipper gusset. You're also going to need 2 1-inch D-rings, 2 1-inch strap adjusters, and you're going to need about 107 inches of webbing. If you want to add the little book bag handle on the back, you're going to need 7 inches for that. And then as far as the backpack straps go, you're going to need 45 to 50 inches. It just depends on who you're making it for. I normally like to make 50 just in case there's an adult that wants this. So that's your hardware. Alright, so the very first thing we're going to do to start constructing this is we're going to grab outer zipper gusset panels, our 2 lining zipper gusset panels, and our zipper. I've cut my zipper to the length of my outer panel, and then I'm going to grab a couple of clips. We're going to take right side to right side of your outer panel to your zipper. I'm going to clip those together first. Then I'm going to take my lining. My lining is going to be right side to the wrong side of my zipper. And I'm going to add that to my little clip gusset. And then we're going to take this to the sewing machine and we're going to sew it 1/4 inch down the edge. Let's go. Alright, so I have got my stitch length at a 3. I've got a size 12 needle in. And then we're just going to sew it 1/4 inch. Alright, now that that's sewn, I put my stitch length to a 4. We're going to take the outer and the lining and pull them away from the zipper. And then we're going to base stitch down this side and then top stitch down the zipper. Alright, so we've got this side of our gusset and our lining on. Now we're going to do the other side. You're going to take your other right side of your gusset to the right side of your zipper, matching out these edges here, and we're just going to clip them together. And then grab your lining and put it right side to the wrong side of your zipper and add them to the clips. Then we're going to go back to the sewing machine and sew at 1/4 inch just like we did on the other side. Alright, I've got my stitch length at a 3, and then we're just going to sew down 1/4 inch like we did last time, and I'm going to take the lining and the outer and pull it back and top stitch it just like I did on the other side. Alright, so we've got our zipper gusset all done. The next thing that we need to do is we need to add our zippers. So I'm going to add 1 zipper to this end and 1 zipper to the other end. So left side first, then your right side. Pull it down, and if it's even right here, then you have done it right. I'm going to go down to the other end and do that again. You don't have to use 2 zippers, it's up to you. I like to use 2 zippers. Makes it look fancy. Alright, our zippers are on. If you wanted to make this a crossbody, you're going to want to make your D-ring connectors now, and you're going to want to put them on each end of your gusset, base stitching them on. That's if you wanted to do a crossbody. I'm going to make both of the ones that I'm working on a book bag. So we're going to put right side of our zipper gusset to the right side of our bottom gusset. And I'm going to clip those together. Then I'm going to take my lining and put my lining right side to the right side of my lining. And it'll be the wrong side of your zipper. And then we're going to sew at 1/4 inch. We're going to do that on both ends. Alright, so we're going to sew at 1/4 inch. Now we're going to go to the other end and put our right side of our lining to the right side of our lining on this side on the zipper gusset. Clip those together. And then add our bottom lining right side to right side of our zipper gusset. Alright, we've got everything attached. Next thing we're going to do is take this outer panel and turn it right side out. And then what I like to do is make my gusset into one piece of material to have to work with. So I'm going to clip all the way on the bottom here so that my gusset and my lining and my outer panel are together. And it's going to be a lot easier to work with when we're trying to attach the front panel and the back panel. I'm going to go to the sewing machine at 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to base stitch the sides and base stitch the lining and the outer together. So it's hard to see with all of that in the way, but I'm just going 1/8 of an inch with a 4 stitch length. I'm not going to be going across the seam that joins the top zipper gusset with the bottom zipper gusset. You don't need to. So I'm just joining the sides, and I'm going to do that on both sides. Alright, so our zipper gusset's all done. The next thing you need to do is put your sides together and find the center of both your zipper gusset and your bottom gusset so that we know where the centers are so that we can match up our front and our backs. We're going to set this aside. We're going to grab our front bottom panel, our lining bottom panel, and our clear piece of vinyl. I also need an X-Acto knife. You can use scissors if you want to, that's fine, it's up to you. I need to cut this white out because we need to be able to have that clear piece so that you can see your Tamagotchis through the vinyl. So I'm going to take my X-Acto knife and just go all the way around. I did interface all of my pieces, and I meant to mention earlier 1/4 of an inch shorter all the way around, so you're going to have that interfacing there, so you need to cut down through it. I feel like I get a cleaner look when I use an X-Acto knife versus using scissors, because you don't have to stop to move your scissors around. The X-Acto knife, you can just make it go until you need to stop. You may have some corners that don't want to budge. Alright, so cut that out. You can throw that away or use it for a D-ring connector or do something with it. Alright, this part is done. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to fold this over. I'm going to grab some 1/4 inch double-sided tape, and I'm going to put it about 1/4 of an inch out from the edge where we just cut out. You don't want it close to the edge because that's where your stitch line is going to be, and then you'll be sewing and gumming up your needle. We don't want that. Alright, then we're going to take our tape off. and try and leave the double-sided tape on. Mine always wants to come with me. Alright, we're going to grab our clear piece of vinyl, and you can make sure that it's nice and clean before you stick it on there. I tend to pick up lint and stuff too. So we're going to grab our lining and we're going to put it right side facing us. So wrong side to wrong side, and I know you're like, you're going to see the back. I will show you. I will show you the magic way in just a minute. Bear with me. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this to the sewing machine, and I'm going to straighten this up in a minute. We're going to take this to the sewing machine. We're going to stitch close as we can. I found that following my sewing foot got me nice and close to the edge without being like too far away, too close. So I'm going to use my sewing foot and go all the way around this. Then when we're done with that, we're going to come back around and take out that middle piece so that you won't see, you know, this print on the inside. We need that to be clear so that we can see our Tamagotchi through there. So let's go to the sewing machine and we will do that. Alright, so I have got my stitch length at a 4. And then, like I said, I'm just kind of following my zipper foot. And it's about an 1/8 of an inch, give or take. Maybe a little closer than an 1/8 of an inch. I'm just going to follow it all the way around. Alright, so we've got that sewn in. I'm not base stitching all the way around just yet. You don't want to have to like keep layering base stitches. So I just did this. What you're going to need to do is have a sharp seam ripper. I have snips for like my corners that I tend to have issues with. And then I have a lighter. I will show you in a minute. If you're getting waterproof canvas lining, which you should, I hope that's the only option they give it. We're going to be burning the edges just to get those fine little threads and stuff that'll get snagged when we cut this out. And really carefully, we're going to take a lighter and go around the edges and melt those so that they're not sticking out through the front and you don't see them kind of peeking out over the edge. Alright, but first things first. You're going to have to be really careful because you don't have a lot of window of messing up. So I found that I pick a few stitches or a few fibers from my waterproof canvas. You want to take your seam ripper as close as you can to the stitches that you made without cutting them, and making sure that your seam ripper is not going through your clear vinyl. You do not want it to go through your clear vinyl or the whole thing's ruined. So that's why I get a few fibers, and then I take my seam ripper and I'm getting close to my stitches. Hopefully you can see it. And that's where the lighter will come in. It'll clean that up. I'm going to take my sharp scissors and I'm going to go all the way to the corners. Again, trying really hard not to get your clear vinyl underneath of this. And you should, once you get that side open, it's going to be a lot easier to go the rest of the way around. It's just that first initial trying not to poke that clear vinyl. Now that that's done, just take your time with that piece. The rest of this bag's pretty easy to put together. That's kind of the one section that you just want to kind of like take your time. Alright, I'm going to grab my lighter and then I'm just going to really lightly, you're going with clear vinyl right here. We're just melting that edge so that those little like wispies are melted. And you don't have to worry about them showing out through the outside of your bag. Just be careful. You don't want to give too much heat in one spot because you will melt that clear vinyl. Alright, so just like that. Look on the outside. Make sure that you're happy before we move on. I see a few more wispies I want to get. And then we'll go to the next spot. Alright, now that we've got all of that squared away, the next thing we're going to do is I want you to cut away the excess clear pouch from the top We need this to be away from where our zipper is so that when we fold it over, it's not in our way and it's not adding bulk to our seam right there. The next thing that you're going to do is put a piece of 1/4 inch double-sided tape right on the edge of your lining, all the way across. We're going to grab our 7 3/4 inch zipper. I'm going to attach it with clips first. We're not attaching our lining, so you need to push that lining out of the way so that you can attach the zipper to just the outer panel. We're going to take this to the sewing machine and we're going to stitch it like this. So we're going to sew at 1/4 inch all the way across our zipper. Alright, so with my lining up, I am just going to sew on my zipper, making sure it's towards the edge. Alright, while we're at the sewing machine, we're going to do the next thing. If you wanted to, you could put double-sided tape on this side to kind of help this fold over, but I'm just going to kind of finger press it so that it folds over. And then you can take the double-sided tape off of your lining and we're going to fold that over that 1/4 inch. And it should kind of like naturally fall at that 1/4 inch. Okay, now here's the tricky bit. We need this to fold over and our lining to kind of be in the same spot. So you're going to have to kind of feel with your fingers where, do not sew your finger. Do not come back and say, I sewed my finger. You're going to have to be careful. So if you wanted to, I would use some double-sided tape on this side, push it down like that, and then your lining and your zipper need to be like the edge of your lining and the edge of your outer panel. You need to feel that they are right on top of each other. Alright, I just had a heart attack. I thought I lost all of my footage. Okay. From what I could tell, this is where we're at. Next thing I did was I went ahead and put my zipper on. Put your zipper on before you forget. Alright, in your lining, you're going to have one piece that does not have an outer panel for you to take and use as a template. It's going to be bigger. This is the piece that we're going to be using onto the back of our zipper. And we're going to be putting it with the wrong side up. We're going to line up the top and we're going to clip across our zipper. We're going to take this to the sewing machine and with a 4-stitch length, 1/8 away from the edge, we're going to go across our zipper, down and around, and making sure that we close up our zipper ends. I like to back stitch on the ends of my zipper ends. Then I'm going to come back and after it's been sewn, come up and trim this up. I've got a 4-stitch length. I'm going to go 1/8 inch. Alright, so we've got that base stitched all the way around. I'm going to take my rotary cutter and then I'm just going to kind of cut out all that excess lining that's poking out. Again, would rather have this too big than not big enough, so we just kind of left it big. You may be asking, why can I see the lining backside through here? Our Tamagotchis are going to go in here so you won't see that, but we need the inside of the bag to look halfway decent, so that's why it's like that. Alright, next thing that we're going to do is we need our flap, our lining, and our main panel. You can make a center notch in this if you want to, and then a center notch in here. I am going to go ahead and just line it up as best I can and clip the outer right side to the right side of my zipper. Okay, and then I'm going to, so it should look like that, and then I'm going to turn it over. I'm going to take my lining and make it right side to right side of my lining. Then we're going to go to the sewing machine and sew at 1/4 inch and sew all of that together. I've got my 3-stitch length and then just 1/4 inch in so straight across. Alright, now that we've got this sewn on, the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that panel back, and then I'm going to take the lining and pull that back. If it would make you feel better, I would clip from the top and just clip that lining and that outer together. We're going to top stitch along our zipper and then base stitch around the rest of this. So I'm going to change my stitch length to a 4. Girl. Go down my zipper. And then I'm going to be real backwards. It's alright, we can do this. I'm just going to base stitch the sides together and the lining together. Alright, so your Tamagotchi front panel should look like this, and on the back will look like that. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to take a sharp pair of scissors. I'm going to fold this in half, and I want to find the top center and the bottom center, and I'm just going to make a little snip so that when I add my gusset on, it's not that big a deal. That will help me find my center marks. Alright, we're going to grab our gusset that we finished earlier, and I'm just going to go ahead and put the gusset on. We'll do the back panel with the backpack straps and all that stuff later. I am going to match up the right side of my panel to the right side of my zipper gusset. I'm going to make a few clips, and then I'm going to go down to the bottom and match up the center bottom notch. So for the bottom, right side to right side of that notch, and I am going to need some more clips, and then I'm going to clip all the way around. Alright, I've got a 4-stitch length. I'm going to sew with the gusset facing up, and I'm going to take my time because this is kind of a round-ish shape, and I know how much you guys love the roundy bits. Alright, so we've got that attached. The next thing that we're going to need is our binding. I have cut a 1-inch strip by the length of my waterproof canvas. I didn't have any. I really wish I had had some hot green. That would have been great. But for some reason, that's the only color I didn't order. And I didn't have gray either. So, whatever color you want to use, go for it. I folded it in half, cut it a diagonal. I'm going to start my binding towards the top of my bag where my zipper is, because then you won't see it start and stop when you're looking down into your bag. I don't know if you've ever thought about that before, but if a customer looks down into a bag and they can see where you started and stopped your binding, it doesn't look too hot. So I like to start it where the zipper is because you can't really see if it's right there. So just clip this all the way around, and then we'll take it to the sewing machine, and at a 1/4 of an inch we will sew it on, and then we'll move to the back panel. I've still got my stitch length at a 4. I'm going to start towards the top of my bag, and then you're just going to sew around a 1/4 of an inch. Alright, so we have got our binding done. I'm going to set this aside for just a second. We're going to work on the back panel. So you're going to need your outer and your lining. We're going to put wrong side to wrong side, and then I'm going to clip around it, take it to the sewing machine, and with 1/8 of an inch seam allowance, I'm going to base stitch these two together, and then we can start working on the backpack straps, and you're almost finished. Alright, so our outer and our lining are all base stitched together. We're going to set this aside for a second. Oh, also went ahead and folded this in half and found the center of my top and the center of my bottom so that we can put the gusset on later. I've also grabbed my 2x3 D-ring connectors. I've got a piece of 3/4 by 3 deco velvet on there. I'm going to make a center mark, and I'm going to go ahead and make my D-ring connectors. I'm going to grab some 1/2 inch double-sided tape, put it right down the center, okay, then we're going to take off the paper, hopefully leaving the double-sided tape. We're going to put one side in to the center and then the other side in to the center. We're going to do that to both of them and then take them to the sewing machine and sew down, up, and back around. Alright, so I have got a 4 stitch length and I'm just kind of going a little over 1/4 inch. I'm going to go down and then I'm going to go over and then back down again. I'm going to do that to both of them. Alright, we've got our D-ring connectors all ready to go. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to place your Tamagotchi backing onto your board so that it's kind of symmetrical with your board so that we can measure out where to put the D-ring connectors. So you're going to grab one of your D-ring connector straps, one of your D-rings. On the side that you folded it into, you're going to put your D-ring bottom, fold it over, and then this is going to be the tricky part. We're going to measure 1.5 inches up. So I've got my bottom line here, 1 inch, 1.5 inches, and the end of that D-ring connector is going to go at the 1.5 inch mark. I know it's round, I know it's hard to measure, or if you want to just try your luck and put it somewhere else, go for it. But that's where I found that it kind of fits just right. Alright, putting your second D-ring on and folding it over, we're going to look over here. So there's 1/2 inch, 1 inch, 1.5 inches. I'm going to put it right there. I'm going to take this to the sewing machine and then I'm going to base stitch those in place. Alright, we've got our D-rings in place. Let's set that aside. We're going to grab our webbing and our strap adjusters. First thing that we're going to do is we're going to grab a couple clips. We're going to take our webbing. I've already burnt the ends. We're going to take it and put it through one side and then down the other. And then I'm going to clip that in place, and we'll take this to the sewing machine and I will stitch a square to keep this strap adjuster on that strap. My straps are 50 inches, by the way. Take the second one and do the same exact thing. We're going to put that on there. I gave myself like 1.5 inches, give or take. And then again, just going to do a square all the way around there. I went ahead and I changed my thread color to a black just so that it would look a little bit better. I've got my stitch length at a 3, and then I'm just going to do a little square. Alright, so we've got both of our straps connected. I went ahead and did the other one off camera. We're going to grab our back panel again, and I'm going to line it up on my desk. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take it with the side that we flapped it over, and you can see that raw edge. We're going to take this nice and straight. We're going to come down here to this D-ring. We're going to put it through the D-ring. And then we're going to take the end, put it through the side that is closest to the D-ring, and then put it back down through the D-ring. So it should look like that. Next thing I'm going to do is going to seem a little weird, but roll with me. This is a very small bag, and learning from the chocolate frog bag, you do need a little extra space. Your strap needs to be facing a certain direction that it doesn't naturally want to do. Alright, from the very top, we're going to measure down 1/2 inch, 1 inch. You see where that is? With the strap side facing up. I'm going to go 1 inch, and we're going to put it straight. We're not going to turn it on any angles or anything like that, and I know it's going to be weird, but I'll show you why when we get finished. So we're going to take our second one with the raw edge that we flipped over on this side, keep it straight, bring it through the D-ring, bring this end back up. We're going to bring that end up back through the strap adjuster, and then back down. So it should look like that. And then again, we're going to measure 1 inch down. So there's 1/2 inch. So this is our top line. 1/2 inch, 1 inch, and I'll put it straight on. When we go to the sewing machine to base these two in, we're going to follow that curvature and base stitch them in, and then we're going to take our scissors and trim that off, and then reburn our webbing so that it'll stay like that. It'll fit better on your book bag because it's such a small book bag, guys. Trust me. If you want to try them in a different direction, go for it, but just trust me, it'll fit better going this way. I've got my stitch length at a 4, and I'm just following that curvature around, and so that I won't waste too much thread, I'm going to go ahead and just sew around. Alright, now we're going to take this to the sewing desk, trim that webbing off, and burn it down. Alright, so we're going to grab a pair of scissors and just trim this down. Be very careful when you're burning things. Please, no burning down of the sewing room or anything like that, but you need to make sure that that's nice and melted so that you don't have to worry about the strap coming unraveled. Hi, McGonagall. Hi. Okay. That was scary for a minute. That was a little scary for a minute. Hi, you visiting? My grandbaby is visiting. Okay, got our straps in, all that jazz. The next thing we need to do is grab our body, and we're going to put the back right side inside, and the lining should be outside, making sure that we get our straps on the inside. You're going to match up your bottom notches and your top notches, and then clip all the way around. Alright, got super distracted by the cat. Alright. It's very rare when she wants love, so when she wants love, she gets it. Alright, we're gonna have a 4-stitch length, 1/8 of an inch from the edge. We're just gonna base stitch that gusset on to our back panel. It's going to get thick where the D-ring connectors are. So just kind of take your time getting around there. Alright, so our back gusset, our back panel is on. We're going to grab our kitten who's trying to get to my lunch. Now we're going to grab our binding, and we're going to fold it in half. Then we're going to cut at a diagonal. Fold that in half, and then we're going to take that and put it all the way around our bag. Again, I'm going to start up at the top. Alright, binding on 1/4 of an inch all the way around. Alright, we got it all sewn up. And you know what I forgot to add? My little book bag handle. If you want to add a book bag handle, go for it. I'm pushing up the bottom corners first. Okay, my battery died while I was turning this inside out. So, really sorry. Okay, it's turned inside out. So, your backpack straps. Need to do some more straightening up. Did you see how they go out like that since we put them the way that we did? And it'll fit better on your back. If you had them straight down and like up here somewhere, they wouldn't fit quite as well on your back, but they go out, which makes it really nice to be on the back of your back because this is so small. Alright, so our book bag part is done. Also, be careful when you're turning this inside out because you may get like a little like pierce in your clear vinyl, so make sure that you take your time turning it inside out, especially the front side. Alright, now we are going to move to our little thing, and you guys are going to laugh at me, but I don't have any cereal boxes currently. So, I do have a Taco Bell box. Alright, your cardboard that you use for this needs to be kind of thin because you are going to be sewing through it. So you don't need anything that's like super duper thick. I'm going to take my front as a template, and I have actually got a paper rotary cutter that I use when I'm doing things that are not fabric, as you can tell by the fact that I need to change my blade. And I'm just going to cut this out. It doesn't have to be exact because I may trim it again before we get done. Oh, for Pete's sake. Okay. So I'm going to get it just about close. And again, I may trim it again before we get through. Alright, so what we're going to do is we're going to have our front, our back, and our inside. So our front is going to go on top of that. Our back is going to be right side up. We're going to place this on top of it like that. And you can do this for all three. I'm only showing you one in the video, and then I'll go back and find some more boxes to steal the cardboard from. Alright, we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to base stitch 1/8 of an inch all the way around that. Alright, so I've sewn around this and I went ahead and I trimmed everything up. You're going to need some kind of binding so that you don't see those edges. You could leave it like it is. It's up to you, whatever you want to do. I just happen to have this 5/8 fold over elastic that I got from Waywack, and it actually works really nice on stuff like this for whenever I'm doing like Ada boards, spoilers for next year. Whenever I'm doing the Ada boards, it's really nice to have this to go around because you have this funky curve right here, and it just goes around it really, really nicely. So I'm going to take my 5/8. I hate sewing 5/8. It's so tiny. But you kind of want to pull it just a teensy bit while you're working it. And you don't have to do the trim. I mean, you really don't because you're not going to see it. But if you're worried about the edges fraying, the waterproof canvas, you could actually just burn the ends and call it a day. But if you wanted to, you know, have your cards look a little bit nicer, you could do this. It's just up to you. Alright, so let's go to the sewing machine and sew this on. Alright, I've got my stitch length at a 4. I've tucked my little corners in, and you're just going to have to kind of do that as you go. And I'm just kind of sewing it on wherever is most convenient. Alright, she's all done, back and front. Now, she's tight. I wanted her to be tight so that it would fit like up towards the bag and not be kind of hanging back. There she is. She's so cute. Okay. I'm going to fuddle with her just a little bit more because I think she can go down a little bit lower. There she goes, and you're all done with your Tamagotchi. Alright guys, so what did you think? I know, it was a quick sew. After all of the patterns came out all at one time, I had a very, very short turnaround time for all of these gamer panels. So I was just like, ugh. Trying to get them together. So I'm really glad that we had the foresight to make them an easy pattern to get through. Hopefully you guys liked it. If you did, you can give the video a thumbs up, or if you want to subscribe so that you don't miss out on more of these sew-alongs. And for the number of you guys that are not subscribed, you could really help me out. I am so close to 10,000 and I need your help getting there. So please, if you're watching the videos, please consider subscribing. I'd really appreciate it. If you have any questions or comments, leave them in the comment section down below. If you have any requests for things that you would like to see, make sure that you go to K&A's and bug Kim and Alex. There's so many things that we've kind of got in the pipelines and things that we've got coming. And so eventually I'm sure that we're going to run out of ideas. So just throw them your ideas and we'll see what we can get. If you make the bags, we work really hard. I know the pattern was kind of easy, but we work really hard getting the artwork on these things. The behind the scenes is a lot of work that you guys don't get to see a lot of times. Me on the computer for hours. When you guys post them online and you've made them, you make my day. Like, it makes me so happy to see that they're out in the wild and they're getting worn and used. I really love seeing them. So make sure that you post them on K&A Custom Fabrics Facebook page, or if you're on Instagram, it's at Faithworks Designs. Also, I always forget to promote myself. If you want the written instructions for these, you can always go into the description section down below and there will be a link to the written directions for these. So if you don't want to keep watching the videos over and over and over again, you will have the written directions down below and you can always use those to follow along to putting these together. But after you put one or two together, you'll have it down. It's a really easy bag. So I hope you thought so too. Thanks for joining us again on Faithworks Designs. Bye guys.